Welcome back for another historic video. Today we'll be taking a look at this VAL combo deck. The combo consists with getting both Moondancer and VAL Marooned Surveyor on the battlefield at the same time, along with a life-leaking creature. And what this will do is gain life. We'll put 1/1 on Trelasarra, and it will allow us to scry 1. And then when we scry 1, VAL will deal 1 damage to each opponent and will gain 1 life. And that life gain will re-trigger the Moondancer, and this will cycle through until we have dealt lethal damage to our opponent. And then in order to assemble this combo, we have a few early game ramp pieces with a Boreal Grazer, allowing us to play an extra land. Similar with Kami, will allow us to put an extra land onto the battlefield. And then occasionally this card might be channeled to conjure up some additional land cards into our hand. And then we also have a Birds of Paradise to allow us to add 1 mana of any color, which could help us get red mana to cast our VAL. Then for life gain, we have Guide of Souls and Soul Warden, as well as the Prosperous Innkeeper, which also comes with a treasure token. And then in addition to that, in order to get our combo pieces more reliably, we have Green Sun Zenith, which will allow us to search our deck for a green creature card. So this can grab both of our combo pieces, and it can also grab the Prosperous Innkeeper if we need a lifelink creature. And then Court of Calling can also go and search up our missing combo piece. And this one, having Convoke, is why all of our early game ramp spells are all creatures. That way later we can use them to pay the Convoke cost. When it comes to the mana base, we have a lot of Pain lands. We have 4 Starting Town and 4 Mana Confluence for mana fixing. And then we also have 4 Temple Garden and 4 Stomping Ground as shock lands. And then we have 4 Razor Verge Thicket for a dual land and 2 forests. This deck is primarily a mono green deck that splashes white for life gain, and then has a little bit of splash just for VAL with red mana. And we're hoping it's going to put up some wins today, and it seems to be a very aggressive deck and pretty hard to interact with, in the sense that there is a lot of tutor effects, a lot of redundant abilities. So let's go ahead and jump into the games and see how it does. Okay, this is a keepable opening hand. We'll start off with the Grazer for a bit of ramp. Looks like a version of Affinity from our opponent. Here we'll play Mana Confluence, which we'll take 1 damage from, and put in the Stomping Yard, or the Temple Garden actually tapped. That will save us 1 life. The white mana is more important to our deck than the red mana, as VAL is the only card with a red mana pip. Okay, here we will play out our Soul Warden. And then we will also play out our Innkeeper. And then we will pass it back to our opponent. And our opponent concedes. Okay, this is a good opening hand. We have all of our combo pieces. No turn 1 play at the moment outside of a tapped land. have a self-mill deck, possibly the Dredgeless Dredge. We will play our Innkeeper. And there is no real reason to play out Kami here. So we'll pass back to our opponent. Founding the third path into Izzet Charm. Okay, so here we will play out our Moon Dancer. We will keep a Court of Falling. And pass it back to our opponent. Stitcher Supplier. In case you guys don't know, this is a Storm Herald deck. I don't know if they milled one over yet. They did. So when this card is reanimated or cast, they're going to be able to return all of these R cards from their graveyard and attach it to it. And they'll either attack with it or they'll use a fling effect to deal damage directly. So here we will first try our Green Sun for 2. And we will get our first VAL, and that's the victory. Good game. Alright, a lot of mana here, some life gain, and potentially some selection with Moon Dancer if it sticks around. We'll give this a try. We'll start off with a tapped Temple Garden. Gamble from our opponent, so this might be Minion of the Mighty deck. We will play our Innkeeper. If we top deck VAL next turn, we would be able to play both halves of the combo. Minor Confluence, leaning more towards Minion of the Mighty again, and apparently they don't have what they need. Okay. This hand has both ramp and a tutor effect. We will keep it. We will start out here with our ramp. Birds of Paradise. And there would be the second combo piece. So here we will use the tutor effect. Next turn we will be able to use both our life gain and tutor in the same turn. So if our opponent doesn't have removal, we should be able to put the combo together. Also if they don't combo off on their turn. So it looks like they do have the death. And do they have 10 in their graveyard? They do. So let's see how bad it is. We're hoping for a miss here from our opponent. They do have Summon Bahamut, so that will be game over. Okay, this is a great opening hand with all of our combo pieces and some turn 1 ramp. Again, we'll start with Mana Confluence to save ourselves 1 life point as opposed to shocking in Stomping Ground. see what our opponent is on. Green mana into Llanowar Elves. Here we will play a starting town into Moon Dancer. We're not expecting removal from a green deck. And the attack is pretty much free. Our opponent will not block. The Garen Brig is leaning more towards, I guess they put it in the elf deck. Usually the Garen Brig would be more of a stompy deck, such as Devotion, but here we will play our VAL and see if our opponent lets us demonstrate the combo. They do not. So essentially what happens here is VAL comes in, we gain life off of Prosperous Innkeeper. When we gain life, we get to put a counter on Moon Dancer and Scry, and when we Scry, that triggers VAL's ability, which allows us to deal 1 damage to our opponent and gain 1 life. And the life gain here re-triggers the Moon Dancer, and that creates a circle where we continually get to ping our opponent for 1 damage until they have no life left. Okay, here we have a keepable opening hand. We would like to have another combo piece, but with 2 out of 3, we cannot throw this one back. And here we'll put the Stomping Ground in tapped. Graveyard Hate is not effective against us. We can play Soul Warden into Moon Dancer. And there's VAL on the top. We'll attack for 1. If our opponent taps out here, we'll probably just cast VAL. Oh, there goes our VAL. Might as well move it to the bottom. Our opponent's going to mill it anyway. But as long as we don't mill one over, and our opponent surgical extractions it, we should be able to Port of Calling for the win next turn. And our opponent is tapped out. There's not much they can do here. We'll board for 2 and go get our combo piece. And our opponent concedes. Good game. Okay, this is a good opening hand. We have turn 1 ramp, life gain, and then we can tutor for both of our combo pieces. We'll shock ourselves, play Birds of Paradise. This turn, we will shock ourselves again and go grab one of our combo pieces to be mana efficient. And in this case, I think we're going to grab Moon Dancer. We'd love to see another land off the top. And we get it. So here we have our Innkeeper. And we're hoping to dodge a counter spell. We will try to get VAL. And we win the game. Good game. Alright, so there you have it. As you could see from the gameplay, this deck is very consistent with putting together the A, B, C combo of Moon Dancer, VAL, and a life gain creature. It has a lot of early ramp, which allows us to play out 2 cards on the same turn, often catching our opponent by surprise. And puts together this combo very quickly, usually on turn 3 or 4. And it does very well. It's pretty hard to interact with. The tutor effects allow us to easily go grab the missing piece or a piece that has been removed by our opponent. And it felt very strong. changes, you could look at some of the early game ramp and potentially swap those out for a card that discovers or investigates. Similar with lands, you could look at maybe putting a couple utility lands in. My biggest concern, though, would be not being able to play out your early cards on curve if you do have a land that, say, enters tapped but allows you to gain life. Slowing down your curve could impact the win rate of this deck, but that's something that you could play around with and see what your experience is. So overall, again, it felt very strong, and I want to thank you for watching. Subscribe and like for more content.